That cardinal outside your window knows more about you than most people realize. It knows when you usually wake up. It knows which door you leave from. It knows the sound of your car. And if you've lived in the same house for several years, that bird may have been watching you for far longer than you think. The strange part? Scientists have discovered that birds don't simply recognize humans as generic people. Many species can identify individual human faces, remember them for years, and build detailed mental profiles of the people who share their environment. Which means the cardinal at your feeder hasn't just learned that a human lives in your house. It's learned who you are. And once you understand what that bird has been observing, you'll never look at your backyard visitors the same way again. Every morning, the cardinal arrives at roughly the same time. To most people, that seems like coincidence. But from the bird's perspective, it isn't. The bird has spent months collecting information about your routines. When do you leave for work? When do you refill the feeder? Which windows are active during the day? When are pets outside? When is the yard quiet? All of this information matters. A bird survives by predicting what happens next, and the more predictable you become, the easier it is for that bird to make decisions. This means your cardinal isn't simply visiting your property. It's studying a landscape that includes you. You are part of the environment it has learned to navigate. But knowing your routine is actually one of the least impressive things that bird can do. Because the next layer of recognition is far more personal. Researchers have discovered that many birds can distinguish between individual humans, not just different houses, not just different families, different people. Your cardinal may recognize your spouse separately from you. It may recognize your neighbor. It may even distinguish between family members who visit only occasionally. To a bird, people aren't interchangeable. They're individuals. Think about that for a moment. When you look out your window and see a cardinal on the feeder, you see a bird. When that cardinal looks back, it may see a specific person it has known for years. This recognition extends beyond simple appearance. Birds also learn voices, movement patterns, body language, even the way someone walks. You could wear a different jacket tomorrow, and the bird would likely still know who you are, because it isn't relying on a single clue. It's combining dozens of clues together to create a complete identity. And this is where the relationship becomes genuinely strange, because the bird isn't just recognizing you, it's making predictions about you. Imagine you normally fill your feeder every morning at 7:15, day after day, week after week, month after month. Eventually, the bird begins to anticipate the event. It knows food usually appears shortly afterward. It knows your movements. It knows the sequence. And when that sequence changes, the bird notices. You wake up late, the feeder remains empty. The usual routine doesn't happen. To you, it's a small change. To the bird, it's unexpected information. This ability to detect patterns is one of the reasons birds are so successful. The cardinal isn't simply remembering your behavior. It's building expectations about your future behavior. In a very real sense, it has developed a model of you inside its mind. But recognizing your face is only part of the story, because your cardinal isn't just learning about you, it's learning about your entire property. Researchers studying territorial birds have found that birds create detailed mental maps of their environment. Every tree, every feeder, every hiding place, every safe perch, every source of food. All of it becomes part of a constantly updated mental map. Your house is part of that map. The bird knows which windows are active, which door gets used most often, which sections of the yard stay quiet, which locations become busy. To you, your yard is home. To the cardinal, it's a living landscape filled with information. The driveway means one thing. The porch means another. The feeder represents opportunity. The dog represents risk. And you are one of the most important moving pieces in the entire system. When you move a feeder a few feet, birds notice. When outdoor furniture changes position, many birds notice. When a vehicle disappears from the driveway for several days, they often notice that too. The cardinal's world is built on observation, and every day it updates its map with new information. But there's something even stranger. Because most of the time, the bird is observing you, you don't even know it's there. Most people assume they only interact with birds when they can see them, but that's rarely true. The cardinal doesn't need to be on the feeder to watch you. It may be sitting high in a tree, perched on a rooftop, hidden inside a hedge, resting quietly on a utility line hundreds of feet away. Birds spend an incredible amount of time observing without being observed. And this changes the way you should think about your relationship with them, because every interaction you remember is only a fraction of the interactions the bird remembers. The bird has seen you carrying groceries, watering plants, taking out the trash, mowing the lawn, sitting on the porch, working in the garden. Most of those observations happened without you ever noticing the bird was present, yet every one of them added another piece to its understanding of who you are. The cardinal has likely watched hundreds of ordinary moments from your life, moments you forgot almost immediately, moments that became information for the bird. In many cases, the bird knows your routine better than you realize, not because it's intelligent in a human way, but because paying attention is literally how it survives. And then something interesting happens. The bird starts expecting certain things from you. Imagine leaving town for a week. The feeder stays empty, the porch remains quiet. The normal routine disappears. To you, it's simply a vacation. To the cardinal, it's a mystery. The familiar human vanishes. The predictable pattern breaks. Researchers have repeatedly observed that birds notice disruptions like these. Animals that rely on routine become extremely sensitive when routine suddenly changes. The cardinal may continue checking familiar locations, returning to expected feeding spots, searching for signs that normal activity has resumed. This reveals something important. The bird isn't simply reacting to whatever happens in the moment. It has expectations, and expectations only exist when memory is involved. The cardinal has a picture of what your normal behavior looks like, which means it can recognize when something isn't normal. Your absence becomes information, the same way your presence became information. But perhaps the most remarkable part of this story isn't recognition, it's trust. Every day, wild animals make decisions about risk. One mistake can be fatal. A bird doesn't continue visiting a location for months or years unless experience suggests it's safe. Over time, your presence becomes part of that safety calculation. The cardinal learns which humans are dangerous, which humans can be ignored, and which humans are reliable. If a cardinal repeatedly feeds near your home, it has reached a conclusion. You are not a threat. That assessment wasn't made in a single day. It was built through hundreds of observations, possibly thousands. For a wild animal, that's a significant decision, because trust is one of the most valuable resources in nature. And in some cases, that trust doesn't stop with the bird itself. Imagine a young cardinal arriving in your yard for the first time. You've never seen it before. You've never interacted with it. Yet it may already possess information about your property, and even about you. Why? Because birds learn from other birds. Parent birds teach their young about food sources, safe locations, dangerous locations, reliable territories. A successful nesting area contains valuable information, and that information gets passed along. This means some of the birds visiting your yard may not be evaluating you from scratch. They may be inheriting generations of experience connected to that territory. Think about that for a moment. A bird you've never met may already have expectations about your yard, not because it observed you directly, but because another bird did. In a sense, your reputation can exist in the bird world before you've ever met the bird itself. That sounds almost unbelievable. But from the perspective of survival, it makes perfect sense. Information is valuable, and animals that share useful information gain an advantage, which means your yard may exist inside a network of bird knowledge stretching back multiple seasons. Now think about what that means. Somewhere in your neighborhood is a wild animal carrying around a mental version of you. Not a perfect version, not a human version, a bird version. A collection of memories, patterns, expectations, experiences, a record of who you are and how you behave. And every morning, that record becomes a little more detailed. The longer you stay in one place, the more complete it becomes. The cardinal outside your window may know things about your daily routine that even your neighbors have never noticed. Tomorrow morning, when that familiar cardinal lands on the feeder, you'll probably see the same bird you've seen hundreds of times before. The difference is that now you'll realize it's been seeing you too, not as a random human, not as background scenery, but as an individual, a face, a voice, a predictable part of its world. For months, maybe years, you may think you're watching the birds, but all along, they've been watching you. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more hidden bird behavior and backyard mysteries happening right outside your window.